Thrones?
No, we didn't. We did not. I never talked about Game of Thrones on the channel. I mean, I did react to some stuff on Game of Thrones, like R plus L equals J. I think I reacted to that. I reacted to the dead dragon coming back alive and like killing the wall. And then I did that weekend, the weekend where Endgame came out, and that episode of Game of Thrones. I talked about that on the channel. But yeah, those are only like 3 major things in Game of Thrones I thought that was important. And even at the end of the show, I didn't talk about it because
the last season is a lot like this season. Sorry.
Yeah. It's funny that you about that. We're talking about another HBO show. Yes, we're back, myself and KB with the Dadbod.
Trap God with
America's favorite goon. Trap God with the Dadbod. Thanks for correcting me on that. Baltimore.
Goon God in the building.
You welcome back. Dot Goon. So for real, welcome back to all of y'all that saw our Lovecraft Country when we tried to crush all the first 5 episodes into one episode. I mean, that was a long reviewed episode, but we decided, we're gonna do it weekly, and we're back to do episode 6, Meet Me in Daegu. When we talked about I'm trying to figure out how to do this. When we talked about Lovecraft Country initially, right? It was one of those things that we said, hey, we hope, like as it goes, it's one of those things that we said, we hope as it goes that it's going to be like something interesting, something that we're going to be like, oh my God, we like, it's going to be something that we're going to be very, very interested in. And we're going to be like, I can't wait to see what they come up with next, right? After we did the first 5 episodes, because episode 5 was good enough to where if you had watched it, it pulled you back into the show, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but then, this episode happened. I don't hate the episode as a TV show. Shit. Okay, let me try that again. Yeah, let me try that again before we get into it. This episode of Lovecraft Country, if Lovecraft Country was an anthology series, I'm 100% sold.
Right.
That's how I'm going to start this. But it's not. It's episodic, it's weekly, and it's something that goes week to week, right? And they've made it so that you have to watch every episode to get what's going to happen. Right. Here's my thoughts, right? If there's a huge payoff, I will be with what they're doing. If there isn't a payoff at the end of this season, I don't think I'm going to be able to come back to watch season 2. That's my thoughts. That's my initial thoughts. So what did you think of the episode? Before we go into the details, what did you think of the episode as it pertains to the show?
All right. So I had to watch the episode twice.
Same with me. I mean, we were talking. I was like, because we were going to do this, Sunday night and then Monday night. And I'm like, I gotta see it again. Yeah.
Then the first time I watched it, I had to break it up. It took me 6 or 7 tries to get through the first episode, the first watch. Being completely transparent, right. Like I tried to watch it on my PS4, my iPhone, my laptop, everything. Like it just
maybe you should just watch it on TV like everybody else.
I tried. That was my first instinct. And I was like, and the reason why is it's not a bad episode. It's not. It's beautifully shot. Yeah, and it just did not feel like Lovecraft Country. From you have a showrunner to make sure that the show has certain lighting and certain themes that's completely even killed throughout a whole season of a show. Like in music, you have your master, you have your master set and your master volume to make sure all the songs and everything are at a certain level throughout a whole album. This was like, if I'm going to use like music and mastering, the music goes like this, like throughout the season, and then this episode, like just a high peak or whatever. And I was like, this didn't flow for the longest time. I think it was like maybe 22 minutes into this episode when I was like, okay, this episode is definitely on par with the rest of the season. It should not take that long for a show to sync itself with the other shows. Matter of fact, I was texting you while watching it, probably like my fourth or fifth time. Like, this is a horrible bottle episode, and it shouldn't be a bottle episode this early in the season. And that was my thoughts. Now, I will say, after rewatching it, it wasn't as bad. Also, after the show really got his legs, this episode, the show wasn't that bad as well.
Right.
I feel like if I was reading this as a book, I wouldn't have the same complaint as I do watching it as a show.
Makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
Because the book, apparently people that love the book don't, not a lot of people that love the book love the show. But what I would say, I'll piggyback off you for a second. What I would say my complaint is it feels very disjointed from the rest of the show.
That's what episode I said. If I'm reading it as a book, I think it would have flowed because the scening, the lighting, everything about how this was edited, the hue of the lights and everything is way different from all the other lights and everything from the other episode.
Quick question. Do you think it's because the black characters weren't on this episode as much?
I thought about that, but they had a lot of daylight scenes in the other episodes as well. So I don't want to say that.
But again, so in my, if I had to guess or guesstimation, I would say it's because the black characters weren't as much on the screen, and you had a lot of fairer complexion people.
But they had the episode with the birth whites in that mansion, and the lighting didn't affect it. You get what I'm saying?
Is it because it was outdoors? Is it because it was outdoors a lot, or is it because we're trying to show a country at war? It just I feel you. If something felt off about
it, was something off about the lighting. It was weird. I don't know if they were trying to really go for this old timey, and that's what it felt like. It felt like I was watching an old timey war movie at times, and it was using that lighting. And then they were trying to show Negro peace movies, and they were using that lighting throughout the rest of the season.
You know what I think it is? Because they had that whole Judy Garland setup and the whole old timey movie setup. I think that's what they were going for in terms of themes with lighting. I think that's maybe what they were going for, because they just wanted to show how it's this is Judy Garland, and she's the behind. She's kind of like the backbone, because this Korean girl wants to be or meet Judy Garland. So it's kind of like the backbone. It's kind of like the thing they set the episode on. And I don't think you're right. I don't think they should have done that. I think they should have kept it even with the show. But Lovecraft Country is a show that wants to show off itself. It's a really I think really hard, and it's almost try hard.
Yeah, it's only 2 shows I've actually seen pull off. We're gonna do different set of lights in each episode. One is a very great HBO show, The Watchmen, that congrats to them for winning an Emmy. Another show is a show where I will not congratulate too much, but they did this very well in the first 3 or 4 episodes. The Defenders on Netflix. They did a great job on the first 2 or 3 episodes.
It was trash, but the lighting was amazing.
Yeah.
But so now I guess we can get in. So one more thing. Why I think the episode was disjointed with the rest of the show is, if Tick didn't show up on this episode, I would have never thought I was watching Lovecraft Country. And correct. I don't think it should have felt like that. I don't think, again, the episode just felt like it didn't fit. Besides the lighting, besides the themes, besides everything, it just didn't fit with the rest of what they've been building so far, with the world building and everything. So now let's get into the show itself. What did you think? What did you think of the episode? It's so hard to do a reaction and review for this episode, because it's just its own thing. Like I said, it started and I was like, okay. I tried the first time to watch it, and then I guess the second watch was better. In trying to get a second watch in, I couldn't do it. But when I finally sat down, I was able to get a second watch, and I was like, I like this episode. Mm-hmm. If this wasn't Lovecraft Country, I would think whatever show this was, I would be into.
Yes, I agree. I thought it was a good episode of TV. I didn't think it was the best episode of Lovecraft Country, but I complain about every episode of Lovecraft Country, so I guess this is on par, of course.
Right.
But there were some themes I did like, and of course I brought my notebook, and this pained me a lot to actually take notes on this episode.
Nice.
Yeah. So I did like that there was some things I had to research during the course of this episode, which was pretty cool.
Yes, I kind of hit a research patch too.
Yeah, one of the research things was definitely Judy Garland, but we'll get to that soon.
You good over there, sir?
Yeah, somebody was calling my phone, so let's just continue.
All right, now you good. You good. So one of the things you had to research was Judy Garland. Fine. Yeah. I had to really research the Korean War and what was going on with that, and how, like, you know, the whole thing with the communists and communism, and how, like, the Koreans and the Japanese really were kind of beefing with each other, and how the Americans, quote unquote, came in to save the day, and it was very trash what they did. America is not the best when it comes to going into other people's countries to, quote unquote, fight wars on their behalf. Like, we're kind of trash.
Yeah, my dad was stationed over in DMZ for a period of time over there for about 3 or 4 years. So I was very familiar with that war and the conflicts that happened afterwards, because it never was officially a war. Well, there was the Korean War, and then there was the Korean conflict, which was never actually a war, because we was actually at war at the time with Vietnam, and my dad was stationed over there in DMZ.
Yeah. So that I had to look into. I also had to look into what she was, the Kumiho or whatever she was called. So apparently that is the Korean version of the nine-tailed fox. There's a Chinese version and there's a Japanese version. We've seen, I don't know if you watch Naruto. Naruto happens to be the Japanese version of the nine-tailed fox. He was possessed by a nine-tailed beast, and in Japanese version, there's, it's at war with itself, good and bad. I didn't really read up on the Chinese version, but in the Korean version, it is a spirit of vengeance. So it's kind of bad, it's kind of evil, but it's not as good and bad. It's kind of evil because, I don't know, lost in, how, like, when you tell stories over time and everything gets lost, and the main reason why something happens. So apparently now, where we are in history, it's an evil spirit. But what I got from the episode was it's a spirit of vengeance, and I like that. If we were watching a show where we were doing stuff like that, mythical, this is actually, this is actually the first episode of Lovecraft Country where I felt like the mythical actually fit with what they were trying to do.
I agree.
But again, it also didn't feel like an episode it didn't feel like Lovecraft Country, because every episode of Lovecraft Country been like, oh man, when is the mythical part of it going to look like, it's scary, or when is it going to actually fit into the show? In that Indiana Jones episode, I thought it was going to happen then, but it never did. In the, the episode after that, where she became white, it never did. It was more science. It was more science fiction. But this felt very mythical because they pulled in a mythical beast into it, and the whole, like, lore of why the mother summoned the beast into the form of that woman. I loved all of that. I loved the culture. I loved that part of it. I mean, like I said, this was not a bad episode of a show that I would watch. TV,
just not a good episode for the show. Like, if this was a season of that, sure,
I would do. Yes, I would have loved it, especially if we got to this point of the show. I would have loved it. You know what? I also think this may have been a commercial for that show.
It could have been.
Who knows, right? This may have been a commercial for that show or something, right?
Like a spinoff.
And now, and it's amazing. But the way it ties into Lovecraft Country, of course, we have to talk about that, right? Where Tick meets this young woman who apparently is a victim of rape, or was a victim of rape. Now, the question is, did she kill herself and her mother summoned the beast into the form of her daughter so she could try to get her daughter back?
That's what I'm feeling like. And the beast has some memories of the daughter, but has memories of the daughter's father. But the mother is more defensive of the father in honor of the family, but wants vengeance on the people who raped her. But the daughter remembers the father, who the mother doesn't believe the father did something to. That's what I gather. I could be wrong.
I think yes, you're right on the father. You know, the father raped the father raped the girl, and I think the mom, probably killed herself. And I think when she came back, she killed the father, or she killed the father as the first victim, and she needed to kill like 99 more people in order to become human and regain this, the spirit of the girl, of the lost girl. But apparently, she got tired of it because she started to feel some sort of humanity. And that's where the conflict between her and the mom came through. And she also loved, and then she ended up falling in love with Tick, who happened to be there at the time and who happened to be one of the people that killed her friend, her best friend, who was a communist.
Can we jump before we talk about the Tick part? Let's jump into this one thing I noticed, which you mentioned earlier with Judy Garland. She had a love for Euro-American culture.
Yes, which is truthful, in fact.
Yeah, I was about to say I've learned this from a few of my Asian friends. One is Korean, two are Japanese, and they just stated like the prevalence in their culture. Even with a Chinese young lady I dated at one point, they just stated like in their culture how it's like a thing for like in their country, like they fall in love with that Euro-American culture, and like a lot of them assimilate, and they find themselves dating European American men, even to the point where in their country their men are somewhat emasculated, and we did see that later on in the episode where the soldier was taking her to Tick, and the white men was mocking the soldier. Talk about don't sleep with your sister and all that kind of stuff. So that's a big thing in that culture, which is why you see a lot of the Asian men in America take up jobs like restaurant owners and cooks and stuff like that. Also, there's an issue of sexualization, which I found interesting for this episode because, again, HBO, like as good of an episode of TV as this was, they still couldn't help themselves with hypersexualizing the show. And one thing I did learn, because this is something I was blind to for a long time, and one of my friends.
Can we go back to that, like hypersexualizing the show? How did this episode feel hypersexualized? I'm actually being very curious. So go ahead.
So the sex scenes in the beginning with the first soldier, and like they really wanted to make a point to show her breast and like really get right there in her private region. Like they didn't really show the pubes, but they wanted to get right there. So we like, ooh, you know what I mean? And in America, in American culture, there, I'm not going to say American culture, but in Euro-American culture, there's a huge sexual fetish thing with Asian and Latino women. So, and this is something I learned about from my Asian friends, and something I just didn't know. And when they pointed out, like, you know what, you're right. Like the whole kitty cat theme and all that kind of stuff. I never realized it till they pointed it out to me, and I feel like this episode really pulled into that trend, which is why she was able to, even though the first guy she killed was an Asian guy, which I also thought was interesting that they had a Asian woman with an Asian man in the sex scene on TV, because typically the white American man gets the Asian woman. For more information, go all the way back to Big Trouble in Little China.
That's a throwback.
Every movie since.
That's a throwback. That's a throwback, a major throwback.
But like, look at that movie and then go all the way for. Even look at how Chun-Li is drawn. Like Chun-Li is even drawn like a sex symbol. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Did she get with a white soldier at a point? Did she ever get with a white soldier before she got with Tick?
I don't know. I don't remember.
Or maybe she did, and we never saw it.
Because yes.
That could have been a 99th guy, and then she stopped. before she got to Tick, because when her mom was like, oh well, the soldiers are at the hospital, and she went back to the hospital, they never really showed her get to, like, Tick was supposed to be 100, but they never showed her get to 99.
Yeah.
So because at some point it was 10 more, and then when the war started, we just got, you stopped at 99, or you're at the 99th person.
Yeah.
But I did like the visuals. I will say this. I like the visuals of the fox. What were you gonna think I was gonna say? Relax.
No. I was actually there with you because I wrote "sex monster use protection" when I first saw it.
Yeah, I like the visuals of the fox and the fact that the tails, because usually we'd get these fake ass digital tails that'll come out, like just be the butt part.
No, but you saw the hair and
yeah, oh my God,
it was like a big spidery thing.
I thought it was a tarantula.
Mm-hmm.
Like, a spider person kills, because what spider kills after? Was it a spider? Or was it a praying mantis that kills after the mate?
It's the mantis.
Okay, I thought it was, we were going into the insect world, or some insect was killing after they mated, and I thought that's what we're getting. But no, it was actually a fox, and it came out of
the lotus. Like in the lotus is a
right,
Asian themed show, Asian themed episode. So
right,
yeah.
So I thought that's what we're getting, but it happened to be the ears, came out the eyes, and then the mouth one was the one that was like, whoa. And once it hit the guy in the face, it's tapped into his memories and his future. And that must be a lot. Like, I get that's why she probably like didn't like her, her life, or didn't really want to keep doing this, because that must be a lot. Imagine having to do that for 99 men, keeping 99 different memories in you till you get to 100, and then when you get to 100 you become human, and then the essence of the person you're supposed to be comes out from you. That's a lot, man. That's a lot. 99.
Yeah.
So I'm not mad at her. I don't think I can ever be mad at her, and I get her premise, and I get why she would be upset and why she'd be mad at it. But and did you think they were trying to insinuate that she was gay?
You said what?
Did you think they were trying to insinuate a gay relationship?
Yes, between her and the best friend at one point.
Yes. I thought that's where they were going, and I actually like that it wasn't in your face.
Yeah, but
and
there was something more subtle that we'll get to later.
Yeah, let me take that back, because I don't want people to think that I'm saying they want, like, I don't want people to think that I'm saying I'm like one of those people that's like, oh, I don't like when they put gay in your face. But I'm saying I don't like when they put relationships period in your face, because like that was something that it was like, will they, won't they? Will they, won't they? And that's what I like.
It's more hinted and fleshed out with any relationship on a show, instead of I'm just going to show I'm throwing these two people together because you need to advance the storytelling of a person. Yeah, you don't need
go ahead. It was like, I know they're friends, or I know she wants to be they're friends, but I also know it's something where when she was looking at her when they were in class together, and she looked at her socks, and her socks were rolled, and now her socks are rolled, and she's like, I like your socks. And then they became friends. And then she grabbed her hand that one time, and very subtle, even though she was getting the men, right? She got all the men, and her friend she wasn't getting any men, but she'd be like, yo, come hang with us and be our third wheel.
That is, though? I think realistically she was trying to figure out how to be more like a human woman, right? So she was copying her. That's what it looked like. But we're so accustomed to this new genre of TV, or this new era of TV, where as soon as somebody is friends with somebody, they automatically, they're in a relationship. Like this
right.
Now we're programmed to that.
Right. And that's not our fault. That, as you said, that is the fault of where we are now in terms of TV and everything. But so I like that, and I was here for it. Anything else? Is there anything else you want to cover? You did say you wanted to throw something out.
Let's see. I felt like this episode of Lovecraft Country was like a 90s soap opera. If anybody ever watched Passions, which was like a sci-fi soap opera in the 90s, this kind of had like a Passions vibe to it. And honestly, if HBO was to go that route, like if they do a spinoff of this show, do that. Like definitely do that because you could do it with this storytelling and with the lighting and everything, and with this, I think it would be interesting. Do it. Also like that HBO with this episode, they kept up the theme of having more people of color. Like I
Yes.
did like that. Like
Yes.
yeah, you have your sprinkle of Euro Americans in the show, which is cool, but it's kind of great to see on TV, especially HBO embracing like, no, we can have a predominantly people of color cast, and we could do pretty good storytelling.
You know what I did like though? I did like how they addressed the themes of both. I wouldn't say both of the person of color, the Asian person of color, and the black guy. How they addressed both
Mm-hmm.
both aspects of racism for both of them. Where
Yes.
she was like, "Oh, why would you want to fight for a country like that?" And he goes, "Well, when I'm there, I'm called a gook. When I'm here, I'm called the word for foreigner. I'm not about to abuse it.
Mm-hmm.
And then they addressed the draft. It was like, well, I necessarily wouldn't fight for this country. The only reason I'm here, I got drafted, but he volunteered. And it's crazy. I like that. Because our thing, I don't know if it was your problem. Yeah, it was. Our problem was how they beat you over the head with racism. But in this episode, they didn't like really dog you. It was very subtle. And again, you mentioned on the base where he was like, "Oh, don't make sure it's not your sister or your cousin or something like that." That is something that is, while it could be looked at as a joke, it's very racist for a white person to say that to another person, an Asian, or because Asians have gone through that for so long, and they probably still going through that. It's like, oh, all Asians look alike, and shit like that. So I think that is something, that was something I liked, and so there's a lot to like from this episode, though. There's a lot to like, but in terms of it being Lovecraft Country, I don't think it was.
Yeah, but there were some real good themes. Like I jotted down POC, personal color, versus POC with Tick and the nurse, because the nurse instantly had animosity towards Tick for killing the best friend. Right.
And Tick was like, "I'm just following orders."
Yeah. So I always find it interesting because I remember this from grad school, and this is something that has transpired and followed over. And when you watch TV, you listen to whatever, you realize there is like a gap between black people in America and different Asian groups in America, right? Which is Asians are viewed as the model minority in America, and you see early on she assimilated with white culture in America, with her love for the movies, as opposed to Tick. He just wants to get away from his reality. You know what I mean? Like our reality sucks, and he's very evident of his reality in this country, as opposed to the character of this episode. I wrote her name down, I just can't find it at the time.
Jiha.
As opposed to Jiha, she's like, no, I'm going to fit into this culture right here because this is
yeah, and it's
so
crazy.
So you see instantly the idea of person of color versus person of color, right?
Right.
Black people, look, we just want to get away from this thing that you all box us in to be more, as opposed to I'm just for the sake of this episode, I'm just going to say Asian culture. No, we as an Asian want to assimilate to this ideology because this is the ideology that we think is great.
Right.
So.
I love how that. You're right. I love how that dealt with it. The funniest part of the episode to me was when she walks up to Tick and the Korean dude, or the Korean American, and she goes, "Do you guys know Judy Garland?" And they immediately tell her the only way they would get to her, and I loved it. Did you see the look on her face? Like, what do you mean? Like, and she's like,
"Yeah." Have you ever talked to somebody from overseas?
All the time.
They, for some weird reason, they all have this mindset: when you come to America, the streets are paved with gold. You're going to get millions of dollars. You're going to wind up in New York City or California, and all the celebrities are there. Like, bro, I don't know why.
When I talk to certain people back home, they think because I live where I live, I run into like celebrities. I think someone had asked me if I ran into Pop Smoke. This was probably before he died. Like, did you ever meet Pop? Did you ever meet 50? Like, no, they don't walk around the streets of fucking New York.
but they think that's normal.
Yeah. So I understand it, and this is, this probably happened what, the 50s. Yes, it happened what, 50s, 50s, 1950s. And she, so I can get where she would think, life was peachy because you watch white movies and that's how life is portrayed in white movies. Everything is peachy and hunky-dory, but it's not how life is in America. And still today, there's still a lot of movies that, show life in America is great, where life really isn't that great in America. And I love the show for doing that. I love them for going that route, and I love them for showing that aspect of that. So I love that episode for that. Like I said, there's a lot to like in the episode. So now,
did you peep Sergeant First Class A Train in this episode,
bro?
Did you peep him,
bro? but there was one thing that I kind of like almost hated. It was like, oh well, why did they get the black soldiers to do the dirty work? Why did they get the black soldiers to kill the other people of color? And it made sense to me that, of course they wouldn't want to get their hands dirty. If anything, they would want to be looked at as the heroes, and we didn't really do it. They did it, where if anyone grew up in that era, you hate black people because what you remember is the black soldier was the one who shot your friend, not a soldier taking orders from somebody else shot your friend. And that is how they continue to pass on slight racism towards certain people. So I mean, again, it didn't overly beat you over the head with it. It was very subtle, and I liked it. And I think that's how you should do it, HBO or that Lovecraft Country. I think that's how you should continue. Did you see the promo for the next episode?
I didn't, but I was going to talk about a premise from this. But yeah, let's talk about the promo.
All right, I got you, bro. It's right here.
Take a look at this.
It's right here. So yeah, so we gonna look at it for a little bit.
TikTok. Okay. All right. What we see here? Okay. Oh, so now she's about to find some truth out.
Yeah. Apparently, I can't really play the audio because then we'll get flagged.
Copyright. Yeah.
Yeah. So I've heard the audio, and I'll get to explain some stuff to you later.
Oh, this looks dope. Oh,
it does.
That's a visual.
That's a fucking visual. You're damn right.
Okay, I can't wait for that episode. I can say
that has got that was exciting. That was exciting.
Yeah. So let me dive back into this premise idea, right? So
okay,
it's not trans race theory. It's transgenerational theory. I think it is. Correct me if I'm wrong. I'm trying to remember what the title of it, but it's believed, especially in Asian cultures, that the current generation can remember memories from past generations.
Yes,
I think we talked about this before in Watchmen, right? So what I found interesting about this episode is with the nine-tailed monster was able to get memories from other people. So still keeping that theme alive, but like going a little bit deeper with, no, I can see your past, present, and future with the nine-tailed monster. So I thought that was a pretty interesting premise. Again, I would love to see more of that. Hopefully they do a spin-off show and really dive into that.
Yeah, like honestly, this wasn't a commercial for that. But what was said in that was apparently Tick's aunt or Tick's uncle's wife is now starting to follow up, because when we last saw her, she was following she turned around and she was going back. So apparently she's following up and she's getting to know stuff. Letty's on the phone talking to Tick or someone, saying auntie's finding stuff out. Her sister confronts her and says, I want to know everything. I want to know more. I want to know everything. I'm pretty sure she's probably not, I don't know how far, but I'm pretty sure she's not told her what her own adventures or what she's found out, with everything going on. There was one more thing. Apparently this also is, the aunt is now going through, as you saw, she's going through all these dimensions and all these histories and past and all that stuff because of what she took from the house. And so I'm interested in seeing that episode. I want to see, I think the show should not lend itself to horror anymore. I think it should just lend itself to sci-fi.
Yeah.
It works better as a sci-fi show, and I don't think horror is the genre for this show.
Yeah. I I will say this show did some good storytelling about Tick 18 minutes into the episode. I had to do that dig because it's real. But it did do good storytelling about Tick for especially that's the purpose of a bottle episode. Like develop a character. Like it doesn't have to be the main character, but
what he talk
definitely
about where he talks about himself and his dad and stuff like that, and talks
Yes.
about how he's trying to get away. And they did talk about each other, how he's trying to get away and how she's trying to like, and she does what she does to get away. And he did what he did to get away. How his dad was trying to, push him away, but the war ended up doing more of the dad's job for him. And it's kind of good. It's kind of,
well, there was a bad storytelling I noticed about Tick in this episode too.
Go ahead, go for it.
When is Tick a liar?
Because he said he had never done it before. So check it.
Right.
What I'm guessing is she can also see your futures. Because she saw his future. So I'm guessing she ran through his life and she saw him having sex with Letty.
No. But in this episode, this is before him and Letty had sex for the first time in the bathroom.
Yes.
But he told Letty he's never had sex before too.
Oh wow! No, he didn't.
Because he told. Remember, Letty said that was my first time, and Tick was like, that was my first time too," or something like that.
Nah, because I thought he told her because in episode 2, I believe, when he had to fight this girl when they saw their whatever they saw, right?
Mm-hmm.
Remember?
Yeah,
I think he had told Letty that, hey, there was this, what was my vision? Well, I saw there was this girl in Korea I met, and I saw her. I think that happened. So I don't think I'm not sure. We might have. I'm not watching it again, so never mind. But I might have to look at that clip to see if he told, Shorty, Letty. I don't think he lied to Letty.
I think he lied because I remember on the second watch, like, did he just lie? Like, I think he lied.
That would be crazy though. That's kind of weird because that's such a stupid lie. It's my first time. It's such a lame lie,
I think
but then again, that is 1950. That's not 2020. So 2020, that's such a fucking lame lie. I think we can say that right now, but like maybe then it wasn't like the lame. It's still lame, but like
but I mean, if that was her first time, I guess he wanted it to feel special to her because she was already embarrassed that her first time was in a bathroom.
So again, maybe you're right. So maybe for Letty, he did that for her to kind of make her feel comfortable. But I really think he told Letty about Shorty. I don't know if he told her he did it with Shorty.
I don't think he told her he had sex with her. I really don't.
Right.
But I want to jump into Judy Garland, and again, going back to this trend I've noticed over the season. So Judy Garland, believe it or not, is known as a gay icon amongst the gay community. Didn't know that. Just happened to research Judy Garland, right? Because they kept mentioning her in this episode. So like, let me research who Judy Garland is. And the first thing that popped up was that. So I read the article and I read the next few articles. So in the gay community, she's an icon. Totally didn't know that. Again, nothing wrong with that, but I do find it interesting that on this black show, we do keep running into the gay theme. So I just pointing it out, like nothing wrong with it. Again, so please don't be offended, but you can at me at Berkeley for us on all.
Oh yeah, his name is right there. So just know who's saying it. It's not me.
It's not me. Like you can at me. I'm just pointing something out. Like I'm not bashing, but if you want to come at me for quote unquote bashing, which I'm not doing, hi. I'm more than welcome to talk about it.
Well, there you go. He just called himself out. He's bashing. It's like now I'm playing. But
no, because somebody's gonna go,
oh yeah, they're definitely gonna come for you.
Hurt all my feelings. Like
they're definitely gonna come for you. But no. Again, this was an episode that isolated from the show. I enjoyed. I would want to watch more of this show, this show that I saw this week. I really wish Lovecraft Country was an anthology series.
Yes, it would be great if
it would be great if it was an anthology series, because then you'd be able to explain, you'd have like very slim, because again, all the threads that connect all the episodes are very slim. You don't have to do too much to connect everything. So all in all, pretty good episode.
Wait, Did you think that you heard the word nigga a lot when they were speaking in their language?
I don't think so.
Okay, because I could swear I could count maybe 8 times that while they were talking they say nigga, and
I
I'm
mean,
like, wait, it's not written in transcript.
there might be a word that sounds like it,
Yeah,
but
that's
it's
what I was
not
thinking.
it.
But I just wanted to see if you picked up on that or not
Right.
in your watch or
Right.
rewatch of it.
Yeah,
But
nah. I have closed caption, so I'm reading while I'm watching, and
yeah, I
on the
was
second,
reading it too. But I was like,
yeah,
what?
on the second watch, I really actually paid more attention to the show, because on the first I just couldn't get it. I just couldn't understand why I'm watching the show that has nothing to do with the show that I'm supposed to be watching. But anyways, thank you guys for watching. Thank you guys for listening. You have been watching Mo Crosby and KB talking about Lovecraft Country season 1, episode 6.
This is a good episode.
Yes, hold on. Let's say this.
Right.
A good episode that
Of
was
TV.
not of TV, but Lovecraft Country, no. So if I had to, no, I'm not gonna rate it. I'm gonna wait till the end of the season to understand what they're doing. Let's do that. Let's just review every episode as not an episode of Lovecraft Country. Can we do that?
Yes, and HBO, if you're listening, which we know you're not,
Not.
can you please do us a favor? Have the writers of this show actually make this into a book, because I really feel like this as a book.
Oh, there is a book, sir.
No, not Lovecraft, not Lovecraft.
No. I think it's from a book. They adapted this from a book, not Lovecraft himself.
But so is Lovecraft Country a book?
You know what?
That's what I'm saying. I would like a book of Lovecraft Country with the black theme, just to see more of what they're trying to capture on screen, because I really do believe that this show is better on book.
Let's see, novel by Matt Ruff, definitely a book.
Okay, Lovecraft Country.
Yeah, novel by Matt Ruff. So this is not.
When was it published?
Published. Let me see if 2016.
Okay, cool. So what I'm gonna do? Sorry about that, HBO. I'm gonna order that on Amazon Prime. I'm not selling Amazon Prime, but thank you, Amazon Prime, for showing our show.
For having us on your podcast and Amazon Music.
So, you know what, you guys, I'm going to order on Amazon Prime.
If you listen to podcasts on Amazon Music, check us out, Earth2CC, E2CC, Earth2 Comic Cast.
Also, like and share this show. Please like and share this show.
Like and share.
YouTube, iTunes. Please like and share on
Spotify.
Yeah, and comment and like on iTunes, because that brings us up the chart. And we do a lot of this, and we're not getting paid for this at all. But we would like more people to hear us review stuff. So
we're broke. Yes. Thank you very much. So thank you very much for watching. Thank you very much for listening. We will catch you next week for episode 7. Come back. Fuck with us. Don't come back because Kyle was bashing gays. JK.
Totally joking. I would never do that.
No, he's not JK Rowling, so never mind.
Yeah. I can never have a black main protagonist. And also all the things she said.
Jesus Christ.
It's the worst.
You know what? Just to segue before we get off, I'm thinking about getting the next gen consoles, right? PS5 pre-ordered, waiting for Christmas for the Xbox, right? This would be my first foray back into PlayStation since the PlayStation 3. I never had the PlayStation 4, but yes, I didn't get the PlayStation 4. Don't look at me like that. But since PlayStation 5 has backward compatibility for PlayStation 4 games, I will definitely get God of War and I will get Spider-Man. But what I'm saying is, I want to get a Harry Potter game, right? Because it looks good. I've seen the trailer. It looks really good. Now, with JK, I'm like, do I give her money? Or do I? Because again, she owns the rights to anything Harry Potter, right? So she, even though it's with Warner Brothers and DC Gaming and all that good stuff, she gets all that bread. So do I even keep supporting her and giving her money? I don't know.
So look, here's again on the segue thing. So there's this little small town. I think it's in North Carolina. It could be in Alabama somewhere. No, I think it's actually in Tennessee. So this is a small town, and they do this. They did this festival every year or whatever, right? And it was like a fun festival for the kids. Mind you, it's a small little town, so it's not much you could do anyway. So they did this whole thing where it's like the whole theme was like Harry Potter, which is great for kids and stuff like that, right? Because small towns don't have attractions except for like Christmas, Georgia, which is not even there no more, or Santa Claus, Georgia, isn't there anymore.
Oh, by the way, Warner Brothers Studio does something really great with there's a section of the studio because I went last time I went, I couldn't go up because at the time they were switching over to Fantastic Beasts 2 to have that part of the studio look like it, so we couldn't go, we couldn't see that. Usually it's a Harry Potter themed part of the studio, so I was really mad. I saw the DC part of it though, but I couldn't see the Warner Brothers, the Harry Potter part of it, so that was stupid.
Oh, dope. But look, this little small town, they wanted to do like this whole theme celebration. I guess they were doing it like 2 or 3 years in the past. So they updated it on the town website. They had the whole thing set up. Kids were, mind you, these little small towns, there's not like a lot of money and revenue coming in and out of these small towns, right? So this is going to be a major attraction to get people to come to like this little tiny little town, right? So they had everything set up, and Warner Brothers and J.K. Rowling shut that down because they weren't getting any money out of this.
Oh man,
all these kids were devastated about this.
Of course,
and it's nothing to do with this little small town. So it's like, you guys are jerks. Like, they were buying your costume. You were already getting money off.
You're getting money off the licensing deal for the costumes, but then
they couldn't even show the movie in the town hall. Like, they was going to show an outside movie. They couldn't even do that.
You know, I wish we could say fuck Warner Brothers because HBO and Warner Brothers are a thing. So I can't really say fuck Warner Brothers, but I can really say fuck J.K. Rowling. So fuck J.K. Rowling. On that note, come back for our The Boys that we're gonna have. We're gonna continue doing that one. We love doing that one because it's fucking amazing. Right. Come back for The Boys, and then come back for our next episode on Lovecraft Country. We will see you then. Thank you very much. Have a good day. Peace.
Peace.